So I'm still totally debating on whether or not you guys just saw my first piece of footage, which is exactly 5 minutes long. But, you know, I'm scared to death. I've had, like, several complaints from YouTube that I've been copyrighted, that I'm actually committing copyright infringement from ZUFFA. That I'm afraid to put it up. But there is no photos. It's just sound that, you know, Renan Barao and Uriah Faber given after their bout tonight. Tonight is an unfortunate night for me because I am Team Faber. What happened tonight was, to me, an atrocity. I feel like Uriah Faber did as much as he possibly could in that situation. In a championship bout, in a rematch, a 5-round, you know, it's a kind of like the launching the year, you know, the first bout, the first pay-per-view card of the year, UFC 169. The main event is a rematch between Uriah Faber, who, by the way, is 0-6 now in title fights, and has never in his career, street fighting, in pro fighting, amateur fighting, kickboxing, boxing, chess, checkers, you name it, has never lost. The guy's never lost a non-title fight in his life. In title fights, he's 0-6 under the ZUFFA banner. However, Renan Barao is still an absolute monster. Renan Barao taking him out in the first round via TKO. Now, what I didn't like about it was Renan Barao hit him with a couple beautiful shots, which dropped Faber initially, and then, you know, the second one really rocked him. At the end, Uriah Faber hanging onto a single leg for dear life and blocking the hammer fist of Barao. Big John McCarthy had said he'd seen enough. But I hate when fighters look up at the referee and tell them, hey man, he's out. You know, that's up to the referee to decide on his own. That's his job. That's what he's fucking there to do. And, you know, I don't know if you're there, if you do it because you're, you know, speaking a different language, you just don't fucking get it. That's his fucking job for him to decide on his own. Doesn't need your fucking input on it. Uriah Faber was not out. He was blocking the shots, defending as best as he could, hanging onto a single leg. You can debate it, you can hate it, you can love it, but that's the decision that was made. It's a TKO victory for Renan Barao. He's been unbeaten in fucking 35, 36 fucking fights, undefeated. He's been undefeated. He has been beaten since like 2006. It's fucking ridiculous. The one thing I had going into this fight, the one real concern I had going into this fight was coming off of 2013. Of course, Uriah Faber having the best year, aside from Chris Weidman defeating Anderson Silva not once, but twice, at both times as huge underdogs, twice in 1 year. Uriah Faber is a fucking shoe-in for Fighter of the Year. If not Fighter of the Year, Fighter of the fucking decade. Look, this guy's held titles in everything. King of the Cage, Rumble on the Rock, WEC. But the ever so evading UFC title just evaded him again tonight. Renan Barao, TKO, referee stoppage, whatever you want to call it. To me, it was an early stoppage. I feel like Uriah Faber, especially kicking off the year, 2014, February 1st, UFC 169, you want to see these guys battle to the fucking death. You want to see these guys give it all. You want to see them bite down on their mouthpiece and swing and fucking get to the ground. You want to see them grapple. You want to see them give it their best. And I feel like given a few more seconds, the fight could have went on. It could have went 5 rounds. But that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's how Uriah Faber has crumbled tonight, unfortunately for us, Team Alpha Male. Now, another thing about UFC 169 was the fight between Jose Aldo and Ricardo Lamas. Now, I loved Ricardo Lamas coming into this fight. Now, he damaged all of the competition. He was ranked number 8 at one point, just blew through the fucking competition, zipped his way up to number 2, defeating Eric Koch with elbows and submitting Cub Swanson with an arm triangle, which does not fucking happen often. It's just not going to happen. The last time I saw Cub Swanson get submitted, it was by Jens Pulver and by devastating choke. One of my favorite chokes, one of my favorite fights of all time, which was it was actually Jens Pulver's featherweight debut in the WEC. Uriah Faber was then captain of the WEC. He was the wingman. He was the fucking man. He was the head honcho, the leader of the WEC, and especially the featherweight division. Since then, he's dropped down to bantamweight, never losing in his life a non-title fight. Again, 0-6. Brian Bowles absolutely crunched him to pieces. Michael McDonald, a highly touted young man, 22 years old, excellent striker, beautiful jiu-jitsu game, wrestling, judo, he's got it all. Uriah Faber demolished him. He demolished him with a punch and another punch and pushed him to the ground like he was some sort of pussy, which he's not, but he did like he was. Pushed him to the ground like he was a fucking pussy and choked his fucking ass out, which was like a month ago. So the thing I had in my head was, did Uriah Faber take this fight on too short of notice? 3 weeks to me to fight Renan Barao. Wow. You have 3 weeks to fight the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter on the fucking planet. Will you do it or will you not? No. To me, no. There's no way. Coming off a year, if I was Faber, coming off of a year in 2013 where I had just beat not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of the top 135 contenders in the UFC, there's no way. I would need a much larger training camp than 3 weeks. For the longest time, I thought Ricardo Lamas was part of Team Alpha Male. I actually mixed him up with Chad Mendes. To tell you the truth, I am an MMA guru, and I say that with absolute confidence. I am an MMA guru. It doesn't matter if it's UFC or Strikeforce or WEC or all these, fallen organizations that Dana White has completely crunched into a monopoly, and you can, give or take. I believe it's a monopoly. I believe that I know a lot about the sport. Ricardo Lamas does not fight for Team Alpha Male. However, he does fight out of Chicago, Illinois. He fought Jose Aldo, who's also in the top pound-for-pound rankings in the UFC. I believe he's one of the best 145-pound fighters on earth for certain. There's no doubt about it. He was a huge underdog coming in, suffered tremendous leg kicks. All around, he just got outclassed. However, the bout just basically played out similar to the Mark Hominick fight, where it sold out. The main event in this bout was George St. Pierre versus Jake Shield. 55,000 seats sold out in Canada, Montreal, Quebec, and Hominick absolutely dominated round 5. Just as Lamas did, in my opinion. However, Jose Aldo gassing out in the latter rounds just isn't enough for his opponents to wait on. It's not enough for them to train for and then wait in and count on that to win the fight. You're going to have to beat Jose Aldo, and I don't see anyone anytime soon beating Jose Aldo at 145 pounds. So Jose Aldo retains his 145-pound strap, as does Renan Barao, as much as that tastes like fucking soap coming out of my mouth, because I really wanted this for Faber. 0-6, 35, 36 years old. You got to know this is your last chance at a UFC title. This guy's fought for a UFC title 3-4 times. I mean, you're running up on 40. He's gonna have to pull Randy Couture to get back on track. And his post fight, and again, it depends if ZUFFA is going to fucking sue me or give me copyright infringement or some shit. They give me fucking headaches all around, like all the fucking time on my videos. They give me headaches. So it depends. I do have it recorded. Uriah Faber's post fight speech and Renan Barao. So Uriah Faber said he will be back, but he will leave his dirty work to TJ Dillashaw. At all in all, it's me, Jackie, my wifey, by the way, is now she's 23-2 as far as calling title fights. She's amazing at picking winners. Just simply amazing, like meatball amazing. And if you've ever had a fucking meatball, you know what I'm fucking talking about. She's like fucking amazing. She knows a lot about the sport, not as much as me, and probably not as much as you even. Even if you're like a heavy fan, you probably know more than she does. She goes, she looks at the odds, she looks at the guys, she knows who's fighting in the UFC, and she goes, he's going to win. She's now 23-2. She called a round 1 TKO win for Renan Barao, told me not to bet on it, and she was correct. So Overeem and Mir went at it, but it did not go. It did not unfold the way that I thought it was going to unfold, or go as planned. It went 3 rounds. It went to a decision. I gave it 29-28 to Overeem. And I love Frank Mir. I love Frank Mir. He's been there since the beginning. Broke Tim Sylvia's arm. He broke into Nogueira's arm. He upset Nogueira. He knocked Nogueira out. He submitted Nogueira. He was 2-0 when he started in the UFC. He's 16-9 or 16-10. Excuse me. Same as Randy Couture was when he got retired. As of today, it looks like loser leaves town, loser retires, or loser leaves. Just loses their job. Frank Mir seems to have lost his steam, or just lost the drive to be a champion. So, congrats to Alistair Overeem. I feel like he could have done a lot better. A hell of a lot better. I feel like Alistair Overeem in that clinch should have fucking devastated. It should have just been just obliterated Frank Mir. Frank Mir sat in the half guard a lot. And in the half guard, that was Randy Couture's go-to position, was the half guard. He loved beating people up from the half guard. I've been above. I've studied jiu-jitsu for years and years. I love being on top in half guard. There's so many submissions, so many bombs to drop from half guard. Alistair Overeem did not capitalize. They all coasted it out. Both of them coasted. And Mr. @Dana White on Twitter, they feared for their jobs, and I tweeted it. They were coasting because they feared for their jobs. Neither one wants to get fired or fucking retire. Who the fuck wants to get beat up, then retire or cut? No one wants that. And it was an indefinite threat going into there because, fuck. Frank Mir's lost 3 in a row. Alistair Overeem's lost 2 in a row. But coming into this, Alistair Overeem had to prove himself, and he did so by calling out Brock Lesnar, getting the fight, and then kneeing him. Quote unquote, Brock Lesnar said, "It felt like I got kicked by a horse," when Alistair Overeem put the knees to Lesnar. Since then, Alistair Overeem has had 0 victories. He's had 1 and 2. So he's 1 and 2 in the UFC. No, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. He's 2 and 2 now in the UFC. 2 wins over Mir and Lesnar, and 2 losses against Travis Brown and Bigfoot Silva. So who knows what they're going to do with Overeem. Hopefully that he gets back, in the heavyweight mix. Frank Mir, I will always win, lose, or draw, be a fan of the Frank Mir. So it can only come to one conclusion. I'm a Faber fan. I thought the fight could have went on further. I thought that the ref stopped it prematurely, and I felt like Uriah Faber took this fight on way too short of notice. I felt like 3 weeks is not nearly close enough. Maybe 3 months, not 3 weeks, to fight the number 3 pound-for-pound guy in the world. It's just not. It's not feasible. It doesn't make any fucking sense in my mind. In Uriah Faber's crazy fucking fighting mind, yeah, maybe. But he got snuck. He got caught. He got hit. He got dropped. He got beat up, TKO for the first time in a long time, probably since the Tyson Griffin fight, which I also have my video list. Please check me out, Power Server 101, and I am out.